What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another episode of Predict the Prem, where me and my brother go head-to-head in predicting Premier League outcomes. A full round of Premier League fixtures to get into for this weekend. But let's start off with one round of the perspective as Leeds faced Manchester United last night at Old Trafford. It did finish 2-2 on the night. But actually before, the scores are 189 to Sim, 209 to me. But yeah, it did finish 2-2 last night at Old Trafford in a really, really good game of football. I went 3-2 to Man United, where I thought when Jadon Sancho put that goal in, I was going to get the 5-pointer, but it did finish 2-0. Sim put 4-1 to Manchester United. And you know what? I think Leeds should have won this game, to be fair.
I actually disagree. I think United should have won.
Really?
Yeah, I do. I think Leeds did well to get themselves in a 2-0 lead, but they kind of just scored with their two only attempts on goal. They didn't really create loads of opportunities. I think they defended well, and especially for the first hour, Man United were kind of sluggish, although Meslier did have a very good game, and Garnacho had a shot clear off the line as well at 1-0 when he rounded the goalkeeper. Sabitzer as well was forcing Meslier into saves. They did obviously score the goal in the first minute, Leeds, and then in the second half it was one-way traffic. They got a goal right at the beginning of the half. Somerville with an own goal, bit of luck there, and then it was just pretty much one-way traffic from then on. United did get back in the game with two goals, and Meslier, if it wasn't for Meslier, it probably would have been 3-2 Man United, in my opinion. So I think Leeds will consider it a very good performance and would feel like they did very well to get the draw. But from Man United's point of view, a bit more clinical, and they would have won the game.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that, to be fair. But I was just saying, in the case of after being 2-0 up against Manchester United at Old Trafford, you're going to be kicking yourself by not taking all 3 points, just by that sense. Yeah, I do agree that Man United definitely came back into the game and put Leeds under a lot of pressure. Meslier having a good game, but if you're going 2-0 up at Old Trafford, especially in such a big game like this and a big derby game for Leeds, you're going to be very disappointed not coming away from all 3 points. So, you know, both teams probably disappointed that they didn't come away from 3 points in this one. It's one of those strange feelings, but credit to Leeds, managerless Leeds, performing well, getting a draw at Old Trafford. And Manchester United, first game without Casemiro, out of 3 out, and they did look a bit open in the first half. So I think that they've got a lot of stuff to work on if they think they can challenge Arsenal for that title.
For another goal for Rashford. He keeps ticking over, doesn't he? Unbelievable from him. And then the big story, Jadon Sancho, back after about 3 months out of the team. Not even injury related. He's just been out of the team to improve on himself and whatever. I'm not really sure the exact reason, but he's been out the squad. He's now back in. He comes on, scores a goal, and are we going to see him now make a big impact in the second half of the season?
I think we are.
You reckon you will?
Yeah, I think we are. I think Ten Hag's managed the situation really well, to be fair. He took him out of the team, took him away from the squad until he got his head right, until he got his fitness up and stuff like that. As soon as he proved his worth to Ten Hag and the team, brought him back in on the bench, gave him a cameo or two, and looks like he's reaping the benefits. He came on, got the draw for Manchester United, a really nice finish, and look, I put him in my draft fantasy league team last week.
Oh, I see. That's why he's going to have a big second half of the season.
But that's why I put him in, because I think he's going to have a big second half of the season. So, and I'm already getting repaid for that. So, look, Jadon Sancho is a top quality player. He really is a top quality player, and if he gets his head right and if he gets his fitness right, I think you will see a big second half of the season, because he's got too much quality not to have. And we'll leave it at that. 189 to Sim, 209 to me. Let's get into our predictions this weekend, and let's start off with the London derby at the London Stadium. West Ham against Chelsea. Both of us gone for draws. Sim gone for 1-1. I've gone for 0-0. And my opinion, I think that both these teams will cancel each other out. Both of them not really on the best run of forms. Chelsea have had 2 0-0s in their last 2 games. And West Ham's attack ain't great, and Chelsea's attack ain't great. So I've just gone for a very simplistic view of a 0-0 here.
Yeah, I think West Ham at home, I think will be up for it after a very good draw they got away at Newcastle last time out. I think in a London derby, there's going to be a lot of energy, a lot of intensity. I think both teams, as you say, are very off form in front of goal. I do think both teams have enough quality to get a goal in this game, but I just can't see a winner in it. So that's why I've gone for the draw as well. Although I do have a sneaky feeling West Ham could win.
Yeah, could be to be fair. But, you know, I've also got a sneaky feeling that some of Chelsea's new stars in the front line, like Mudryk and Madueke, and is João Felix back for this game? I'm not sure.
I think he is, yeah.
With João Felix as well coming back, I've also got a feeling that they could, because I think with these players in the front line for Chelsea, just one game they're just going to click and turn it on, and they're going to batter a team.
And to be fair, with 3 clean sheets in a row they've got now, so maybe they're starting to get that bit right, and then once they get that bit right and they get the forward line clicking, then you'll see a real team.
Exactly. But let's move on. Another London derby, this time at the Emirates. Arsenal against Brentford. Both of us gone for the exact same scoreline here, 2-1 to Arsenal. Brentford, the form team in the league. Arsenal on the back of 2 defeats, 1 in the cup and 1 in the league. 0 goals scored in those 2 games. I think that they're going to respond in a positive way in this game, especially in front of their home fans, where they're really impressive. And I think Brentford's going to make it hard for them, but I think Arsenal will get the job done.
Yeah, I pretty much agree. I think that's how I see it. I'm really hoping that Arsenal follow up their 2 defeats with more drop points, and I think all of a sudden there could be a swing of momentum, but I think their home form has been so strong. Their last 2 defeats have been very narrow, 1-0 defeats away from home. I don't think they're going to be too disheartened by those results, in my opinion. They'll probably come flying out the traps. I do agree. I think Brentford are one of the form teams in the league right now, and I do see them making it difficult for Arsenal. I wouldn't even be surprised if, like they say, go 1-0 up, but I just think Arsenal have too much quality right now, and I can't see them coming away with this without all 3 points, and that will put them right back on track. But if they do drop points, all of a sudden you might start to see some chinks in their armour.
Yeah, very well could be. But let's move on to another derby, this time Crystal Palace against Brighton. What do they call it? The M26 derby or something like that?
Yeah.
Both of us have gone for 1-1. And funnily enough, this fixture in the last 3 years have all finished 1-1 as well.
Oh, wow.
Crystal Palace have drawn their last 2 games. Brighton have drawn their last game. And this game is usually very, very tight, with both sets of fans really up for it. And I feel the fans could make a big impact in this game, which I think they usually do. And I can't really split them. I think Palace, with their home fans behind them, are going to be really up for it, and Brighton, with their quality that they've got, with their attacking quality, they're going to be up for it. But I think they're both just going to cancel each other out a bit.
Yeah, I think in a small, compact stadium like Selhurst Park, I think I'll go against Brighton a bit in how they like to play expansive football and like a bit of space. I think Matoma is going to be a bit more restricted in this kind of game, in my opinion. And I don't think, as much as Brighton have been brilliant under Zerbi, I still don't think their front line is particularly clinical, although they have had some games where they've scored loads of goals. I think when you make it difficult for them, I don't think they have that quality without the space to really open you up. And I think Palace, without Zaha, they're lacking a bit of cutting edge right now, although they've become a bit more of a disciplined team. They had two draws in their last 2 home games against Man United and against Newcastle, so they've had some decent results at home. So I do think they're going to make it difficult for Brighton, but I don't think they'll have enough to win. So that's why I've also gone 1-1.
Yeah, it's not what you want at the moment, Sim, picking the exact same
No, it's not what I want, but it's a bit disappointing. Hopefully without change.
But let's move on. Fulham against Nottingham Forest at Craven Cottage. Again, we've gone for the same result, but different scoreline. Sim's gone for 1-0 to Fulham. I've gone for 2-0 to Fulham. And what are you thinking about your score prediction?
Yeah, I think, to be fair to Nottingham Forest, unbeaten in 5 games now in the Premier League. They've really turned their form around, and all of a sudden, they're looking up rather than down. 5 points behind Liverpool, Nottingham Forest. Now, how mad is that, considering the start to the season they had? But Steve Cooper seems to be making them well organised. What they've really done is started from a solid defensive base and made sure they're not easy to score against, and with the likes of Gibbs White and Brennan Johnson in the forward line, they're starting to maybe find a couple moments a game where they're starting to hurt the opposition. But Fulham are very well organised themselves. Although they're now winless in 3, it was only 1-0. It was 1-0 away in Newcastle, 1-0 at home to Spurs, and 0-0 away at Chelsea. So not like they've had the easiest last 3 games. Understandably, they haven't won, but they haven't also been disgraced. It was only 1-0 there. So I think it's going to be a very tight game. I think both teams are in good form and are playing well. I just see Fulham with a bit more quality than Forest. So I'm just having them edging at 1-0.
Yeah, if this game was at the City Ground, I would have maybe had a bit of a different prediction. But Forest have not been good on the road this season. They've only won 1 game all season away from home this season, where Fulham have been really strong at Craven Cottage with that nice, tight, compact pitch. With their fans behind them as well. I just can't see anything but a Fulham win, to be honest. And I think 2-0. I think Mitrovic will get back in the goals as well this weekend. He's kind of dried up of late. And I don't think it's going to be an easy game for Fulham, but I think they will take the 3 points with a 2-0 win. So let's move on to Leicester against Tottenham. Sim's gone for 3-1 to Spurs. I've gone for 2-1 to Spurs. And hopefully the tide is turning with Tottenham at the moment. Last couple of games we've won with the clean sheets as well. And we've been fairly good away from home as well. Our last 3 away games, we've beaten Palace 4-0, we've beaten Fulham 1-0, we've lost to Man City 4-2 with taking a 2-0 lead in that game. Leicester, on the other hand, have been shocking since the return of football since the World Cup, albeit they did have a really impressive win last time out, 4-2 against Aston Villa. I'm hoping the Spurs' defensive solidity stays in this game and we can win this game quite comfortably-ish.
Yeah, I think Leicester are starting to turn their form around. 4 goals in their last 2 games, considering I think they hadn't scored.
In their last 1 game.
Sorry, 6 goals in the last 2 games. Apologies. I mean, they've conceded 2 goals, 4 goals in the last 2 games. So going forward, they're starting to turn it around. But defensively, there's still the same problems there. And so if we can really keep things tight like we have done in the past few games, I really think there are going to be chances for us. I think they really... when it comes to Leicester, obviously their forward players like James Maddison coming back into the team. Harvey Barnes is starting to find some form now as well. And also Tete, new signing. He's looking bright in his first start. And then Iheanacho as well is starting to find some form up front. So maybe they have a striker who's going to replace Vardy, because Daka hasn't really done it so far this season, to be fair. So it's going to be tough to keep him out, no doubt about it. But if we can have that defensive solidity like we did against Man City, I do think there's going to be spaces for Spurs going the other way. And I know Fraser Forster's coming into this game, so there's a bit of like, how's that going to turn out from that point of view. But I'm just hoping we'll restrict them to only 1 goal, and I'd really believe the spaces will be for us going forward to attack them. So that's why I've gone 3-1.
All right. That's 3-1 and 2-1, both to Spurs. Moving on to Southampton against Wolves. Both of us going for Wolves victories at St Mary's. Sim gone for 1-0. I've gone for 2-0. And in terms of my prediction, after Nathan Jones and what he was coming out with last week, I really worry for Southampton. And I'm not sure if they're going to beat this drop this season. And especially in this game, with Wolves seeming like they're turning a corner under Lopetegui, 3-0 win against Liverpool last time out. I actually think that the wheels are going to come off even more for Southampton this season, especially with what Nathan Jones was saying. He is saying that he's going to play more front football and more expansive football, and I think that's going to play more into Wolves' hands. They'll sit tight, sit deep, and wait for their opportunities, and I can see them getting 2 goals here, so 2-0 to Wolves. Yeah,
I'm definitely intrigued to see what kind of Southampton we're going to see in this game after that rant from Nathan Jones. Look, he hasn't been sacked, so they're still like keeping him there for the time being, and he needs now more than ever a big result in this game. And I do think that they're going to come flying up the traps and try and make it difficult for Wolves. But Wolves, in their own right, are doing very well now under Lopetegui, just beating Liverpool 3-0. They beat West Ham 1-0 as well a couple of weeks ago. So they're playing really well, and they're playing very good, solid defensive football, good counter-attacking football right now. So as you say, it could really play into Wolves' hands. I just think it was only going to be 1 goal in it, because I think Southampton will try and put pressure on Wolves, and Wolves are going to have to do a lot of defending in this game. And I don't, as much as they're doing well, I don't think their attack is still up to it right now, even though they scored 3 goals against Liverpool. It wasn't, in my opinion, due to like great attackers. A lot of it was like set pieces and stuff. So and poor defending. So we'll see how it plays out. I'm going for 1-0 though.
All right, moving on to Bournemouth against Newcastle. And surprise, surprise, we've gone for the exact same scoreline here in 1-0 to Newcastle. We both predicted 1-0 to Newcastle last week, but finally Newcastle did concede to West Ham. But against this Bournemouth side, I could see it, maybe seeing it a bit more than 1-0 to Newcastle, because Bournemouth just aren't that great. But there's not the greatest feeling around Newcastle at the moment. Drawn 4 out of their last 5 games, struggling to get the 3 points on the board, but I think they'll get back to winning ways this weekend.
Yeah, it's interesting with Newcastle because they've still got that defensive solidity and they're still like really hard to score against, even though they did concede last week against West Ham. But the chances and the goals are definitely drying up for Newcastle. It does seem as though when they do miss a chance, you're not 100% confident there's going to be more chances following it at the moment. Wilson obviously scored within a minute or a few minutes, against West Ham, and then they they didn't really look like scoring too often in that game, apart from a good chance for Wilson later on. So Bournemouth in this compact pitch as well, where they like to keep things really tight, make it difficult for the opposition. They'll fancy their chances of keeping out Newcastle, but I just feel like with their set piece deliveries, I reckon they'll get a goal from a set piece somewhere, Newcastle, and that should be enough to get the 1-0 victory.
All right, and another derby, which is Leeds against Manchester United. Obviously, they just played yesterday, but we've both predicted Manchester United wins this time round at Ellen Road. Sim's gone for 2-1 to Man United. I've gone for 3-1 to Man United, and I think it was a big missed opportunity for Leeds during the week to be 2-0 up against Man U at Old Trafford and not to take all 3 points. I think they'll be demoralised about that a little bit, and I think Man United as well will have their tails up about getting back from 2-0 down and probably should have gone on to win the game. So I think they'll put it right this weekend at Ellen Road and win the game, and I'm going 3-1.
Yeah, I agree. I think there'll be a bit of it was a great result for Leeds, but I think Man United will have learned a bit of their lessons, maybe to be a bit more clinical and not let Leeds have as much encouragement as they did. I do think Leeds at Ellen Road at home, especially after getting the result yesterday, will be a bit buoyant and will definitely come flying out the traps a bit. Nonto playing very well, scored a great goal, so I see him causing Man United trouble, and they do have some good forward players, Leeds, and they can cause you trouble, but I just think Man United will have a bit too much quality in a close game, so I've gone for 2-1.
All right, and moving on to Manchester City against Aston Villa. And Unai Emery has been really good on the road since joining Aston Villa, but I think it might be a step too far in them in this game, albeit Man City not playing the best to their capabilities at the moment. But both of us have gone for the exact same scoreline again in 2-1 to Manchester City. And yeah, I just think Man City are going to be too strong. They need to get back to winning ways. They need to start performing if they got any hopes of winning this title.
Yeah, if there's anyone who can frustrate them, you wouldn't bet against Unai Emery being that kind of guy. He's had some good results already since taking over Aston Villa and beating Man United, beating Spurs away as well. So they've had some great results, but I'm hoping. Well, not hoping, but I'm thinking that Man City, after the week they've had as well, maybe they'll use it as a chance to rally around and try and get the result and claw their way back to putting pressure on Arsenal, who are top of the league at the moment, and their quality should shine through, I'm thinking. So I've gone for I reckon like Villa might go 1-0 up, but I think Man City should have enough to turn it around 2-1.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with that word for word, to be fair. But the last game of the weekend is Monday Night Football at Anfield, and it's the Merseyside derby, Liverpool against Everton. And again, both of us have gone for the exact same scoreline in 1-1. Liverpool not having the best of things at the moment. Well, that's a bit of an understatement, to be fair, because they are playing absolutely terrible. They're defending at the back. Cody Gakpo hasn't seemed to have got going. Mo Salah's not having the best season. And Everton, you could say pretty much the same, having an absolutely terrible season. But Sean Dyche has come in, that he got a very impressive victory over Arsenal in his first game in charge. And it doesn't get much easier with a Merseyside derby, to be fair. And I think Sean Dyche is going to do a number on Liverpool, but I only think it will be 1-1.
Yeah, I reckon the new manager bounce will continue for Everton. I reckon they'll really set up to frustrate Liverpool, make sure that they're clogging up all the central areas and not allow Liverpool to be their free-flowing best. I can see them disrupting, especially with that midfield three of Decore, Onana, and Gana Gay. So I think that'll really set up to dominate that midfield, which Liverpool are really struggling with at the moment in the midfield. I do think Liverpool have the quality to get to find a goal, but I think Everton are going to pick their moment smartly to go forward, and when they do, I reckon they're going to have a few chances, and I back them either from a set piece or a breakaway to find an equaliser, and I've gone for 1-1.
All right, and last but not least is the star men. Sim's gone for Heung-min Son against Leicester. I've gone for Bruno Fernandes against Leeds, both away from home. But I think, in my opinion, Bruno Fernandes, I think he's turned the corner this season in his last 6 games, scoring 4 goals with a few assists in there as well. He's really central to everything Manchester United are doing at the moment alongside Rashford. And I think if they are going to get joy against Leeds, I think it's him and Rashford are going to be central to that. So I'm hoping for at least 2 goal contributions in there from him.
Yeah, and I'm going for Heung-min Son. I think he obviously scored a hat-trick against Leicester early in the season. His form is starting to turn around a bit, although didn't score on Sunday. He did look very dangerous. I do think this kind of game as well could be tailor-made for him, with Leicester being can be fairly an offensive team, especially with Spurs being away from home. I'm hoping there'll be space for him to play, and hopefully he can get back in the goals. And I know it's a bit of a risk considering he hasn't scored a goal in the Premier League that many this season, but I reckon he's going to turn it around in this game on Saturday. So I've got the Human Son.
All right, so there you have it. That is our Premier League predictions and star men. 20 points is the gap. And just to remind you how the scoring works, it is 5 points for a completely correct scoreline, 1 point for a correct result. The star man as well. Once you pick that man, you can't pick them again for the rest of the season. And it's 5 points for a goal, 3 points for an assist. Let me know in the comment section below who you think is going to come out on top. And I want to know your predictions with your star men in the comment section below. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Like, subscribe and comment, and as always,
come on you Spurs.